Okay, this is basically a response video, but it's, I think, also going to be a video of a new series on persuasion, on the whole idea of how to talk to people. I guess I'd like to cut it into two arguments, one on the art of persuasion and the other on the science of persuasion. So one on what arguments are convincing in terms of why religion is a fallacy, and the other on just how to communicate with people. There's an art to that. There's an art to selling ideas, and it isn't about propaganda so much as it is about a method of communicating, a method of allowing for people to hear what you're saying, so there isn't this reaction, so there isn't a closed door, so there's this opportunity for the science to take effect, for it to do something, to have an impact. So this is a response video, though, as I said, this first one, because there's some great videos by Indeed Clark, and I feel kind of stupid that I missed a couple of these. I was subscribed. I don't know exactly why I missed them, but I did miss them. So I'm replying to this older video of his because it's a subject I haven't really touched on as hard. I mean, he did a couple of other videos on subjects that I have hit, so I'll give them a little more some time, and then we'll do those again, those subjects. So anyway, his video is based, I'm in agreement with his video, basically, so I guess I'm just going to add some of my perspective to it. And I'm come to the conclusion that yes, it's the funny thing about atheists is they don't see any responsibility to have an image. While I endorse individualism, and I would never tell somebody they can't do something, there is a practical reality that some behavior is unproductive to the cause. And maybe we're all guilty of it. I myself am not a great poster child. So there's room for criticism in a lot of corners. But we certainly quarters. But there's an obvious, just in having this conflict with a certain group of atheists who are quite hostile, quite nihilistic, quite unattractive, in my opinion, as human beings. Especially unattractive to what might be considered the average religious person who does have a notion of not just of morality, but of civilization, a notion of caring for people. I mean, most religions are sort of about that, even though I think the caring is projected in very evil ways. I won't deny the general sincerity. Again, it's another issue where we have to get into the nuances of people who are Christian for merely convenience. They think it's the road to wealth. I mean, there's many preachers out there covered with diamonds and $1,000 suits, and they just talk about Jesus as if he was about rewards on this planet, and that's all they're after is, yes, love Jesus and he will love you now, as a practical matter. He will make you wealthy, and that's a kind of Christianity I don't know. That's almost that's almost the ugly side of the atheist community rather than a Christian. But anyway, I think there's a practical requirement to get them to be able to get to most religious people. We have to be offering them something that is attractive, just as a practical matter, just as a way of life. And if we are too dissimilar from the life they wish to live, then they will cling, even though the facts tell them, differently, even though their faith is weak. they will cling to it because the alternative just looks grotesque. And so that's one part of it. And then the other part of this is also each conversation with each Christian has to be sort of tailored to their experience. I mean, this is the annoying part of communicating, is that, I've brought this up before, is that each individual is different. They require you to put a different package of argument together that's tailored to them. And so obviously when you're speaking to a broader audience and you're trying to create one message that'll work on all of them, it requires a lot of work to create that message, to find what ingredients won't turn somebody off, and what ingredients are persuasive enough without doing that turning off thing. Without, it's like you got to say all the right things and none of the wrong things. And that's a hard mixture to put together. That's like composing a symphony. It really requires some work to make this work. And so, I've sort of been thinking on this subject. That's why I picked this video to respond to, because it's this. I want to create a video that is that generic product, that thing that any Christian could listen to it and say, at least at minimum, that was interesting. It's thought-provoking, and it makes me think in an honest way about what I believe, and that's sort of the objective. And just to get to the basic question of why we would, this is part of the question that he asked in his video, is why we would want to change Christians. And I think it is important. I think it is important that we invest in the truth. I think the greatest value of human beings is being destroyed, their intelligence, by religion. I think it is consuming the investment of their life is being wasted because it's being invested in something that's nothing. It has no capacity to produce anything real, because it's too closed and too narrow, too dogmatic, and it'll never cure a disease. It can only treat symptoms, and so to me that's a huge failure. It's a huge waste of human potential. And to have these people who are caring in a positive way, in a powerful way, would be so good. It's like, I don't want to bring up Mother Teresa again, because it's really I'm so stigmatized by my decade of hating her, but she was a powerful force, and it's kind of irritating that she didn't have the strength to stand up to the church, and stand up to the propaganda, and stand up to the abuse of her love. And if she could have stood up and said those words, that no, it's not about gods, it's about people, and that would have been so powerful. That would have been such a powerful, she would have made a great poster child for atheism, because you can be an atheist and give a damn. And Christians need to understand that, and Muslims and the rest of them, that atheism isn't about being a heathen. It isn't about doing what you feel and doing this and having no ethics and having no conception of concern for your fellow man or any of that crap. The majority of atheists, I don't think, are that. I think they appear that way in this environment because it's so dominated by young people, and I don't, the culture is just so violent and so and so crass. I don't know the right words for it. So that's the world they live in. Everything is a hammer and a club and a bash and a smash, and it's built so much around excess and this over-the-topness, this professional wrestling kind of aura of extravagance, or excess, or whatever the right term is for it. It's loud and obnoxious, and it doesn't have any room for anything beautiful or anything graceful, and that's something we have to change, I guess, in the sense we have to push a different image, and we can't be controlled by people who just want to turn atheism into some sort of decadent alternative. You know, that it's nothing else but some liberating, let's liberate the worst aspects of our human personality, let's just become ape men. And no, it's about intelligence.